Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Community Development Week. We just want to go over a few housekeeping rules to let everyone know that this is a webinar and that you can see us. However, we cannot see you. Just a few other things, that we are still working remotely, so we ask that you excuse any background noises if you should hear anything. If you need any technical assistance, you can reach out to Raina Whitted or Hallie Holmes, and we'll put our email addresses in the chat box for you. And without further ado, I'm going to turn the CD Kickoff Week over to our President and CEO, Stephen Claudet.
Good afternoon and welcome everybody. I want to welcome everyone to DC Community Development Week. This is our kickoff activity for the week. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Mindset. A couple of CD Week housekeeping announcements that I want to make. Tomorrow, we will have a panel navigating lending options for your small business. This is a lender's guide that CNHED has put together that will help businesses better understand the lending landscape here in the district. On Wednesday, we're going to have a discussion about inside institutional procurement with PEPCO. PEPCO has a very assertive minority supplier philosophy and policy and approach. We're going to learn more about that. And on Thursday, I really want to encourage people to come out. We're going to have a keynote panel, DC into the Future. One of the things that I think we're all mindful of is that we have been with our heads down and working, through the pandemic. We've been dealing with operational issues, frankly, in some cases, survival issues. We've been caring for people and place and issues and conditions that have not really allowed us to look forward. And we thought it would be good to have a conversation about what DC will look like 5 years from now, from city leaders who are charged with figuring that out, and frankly, probably have a different view through their work and through their jobs and through their perspectives about where we may be going as a city in the not too distant future. So please, that panel will be at 1 p.m. On Thursday. After that panel, we will also be giving out the Bob Pullman Legacy Award. Bob Pullman, as many of you know, was the founder of CNHED. A few years ago, he passed. We instituted a Lifetime Achievement Award in his honor, and we will be announcing the winner of this year's award there. On Friday, we will be celebrating seniors in partnership with the Congress Heights Senior Wellness Center. And we will also be having events later in the month. This year's Community Development Week is not going to be a week because of the availability of some of the experts we wanted you to hear from. Some of them are not available because they're dealing with pressing issues this week, but we thought the issues that we were going to have them discuss was important enough to schedule. So we will be having later in the month a panel on eviction prevention, which we think is critically important to the District of Columbia as we continue to weave our way through the pandemic. We will also be trying to have a conversation about systems change. And I don't have more details on that now, but stay tuned and check on the website for that. The other thing that I'd like to do is to thank the CNHED team who's put together DC Community Development Week. People will see a series of events this week and throughout the month, and it takes so much to put these together, to identify and vet topics, to determine the availability of speakers, to schedule the events. So I want to thank the entire CNHED team, particularly Hallie Henry and Raina Whitted, who lead the coordination of Community Development Week, as well as the rest of the team. And also for today's event, special thanks to Yvette Banfield, our Vice President for Economic Policy, who worked to put together this panel. And lastly, before I kick us off, I want to thank our sponsors. And I particularly want to thank the sponsors this year because this is the second year in a row that we've had to do largely a virtual Community Development Week. And it's easy to get sponsors to support events where they will be in person and they can send their teams to, and they'll be announced publicly and they can see their names on banners. And I'm particularly appreciative of sponsors who've stuck with us over these last 2 years as we've had to do Community Development Week remotely. So I'd like to thank Capital Impact Partners, PNC Bank, WC Smith & Company, JBG Smith & Company, DC Housing Finance Agency, M&T Bank, Klein Hornig, and the DC Housing Authority. Thank you, sponsors, for allowing this week to be supported and to continue on. And now I have the pleasure of introducing our panel. I think that you will find this panel not short on insight or opinion, and well vested in the issues that we're here to talk about today, which is really the entrepreneurial mindset. And I really think it's a great way to kick off Community Development Week. I want to quickly say that I don't think entrepreneurial mindset just applies to business as we traditionally think when we think entrepreneurs, but it applies to nonprofits and housing developers and our entire ecosystem of community engagement organizations and industries. And so it is my pleasure to introduce the moderator for this conversation, Dr. Ayman Tarabishi. He is deputy chair and a teaching professor in the Department of Management at the George Washington University School of Business. His expertise involves entrepreneurship and the creative, innovative, and humane-focused practices existing within the field. He is an award-winning author and teacher. He also created and managed the Global Entrepreneurship Research and Policy Conference, something that you may hear about from him in his remarks. Our first connection to Dr. Tarabishi comes with our engagement with the George Washington School of Business in the provision of the Elevate program. Elevate is an initiative within CNHED, and you'll actually hear from two of its participants, where we work with businesses to elevate their business practices and their perspectives about their businesses and their work. And I will say that Dr. Tarabishi inherited an initial vision about what Elevate and the relationship with George Washington University can be, but he has taken it much further than that founding vision. And so we anticipate an evolving relationship and body of work with George Washington University, and Dr. Tarabishi is helping to facilitate that growth and that expansion. And next I'll introduce Charles Chadwick. He's the president and CEO of Chad OL Public Relations and Events LLC. His firm offers a comprehensive brand and digital marketing strategy that is creative, practical, innovative, and most of all, results driven. As an MBE, LGBTE, and CBE certified firm, his firm is the single point of contact for efficient and creative solutions for your communications, event planning, marketing, advertising, and brand needs. And then also, Evelyn Rodriguez, founded and managing director of the Aquiline Group, a full-service marketing and communications firm in Washington, D.C., with experience in health, education, and youth marketing, multicultural marketing, strategic communications, social marketing, community outreach, public relations, emergency management, and many other areas. It is my pleasure to welcome the panel, and Dr. Terabishi, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Steve, very much. And I appreciate the nice introduction. I am honored to be kicking off this event. And on behalf of the GW, George Washington University and School of Business, I want to also thank and echo what you said, thank Holly and Reina and Yvette and the team for putting this excellent event together. And we need these type of engagements with the DC community, and to start them off in the beginning of October is a great time. So I look forward to starting us off, but also to share some knowledge with everyone. And if they can all walk away with something they can think about and act upon, I believe it's a success here. Saying this, entrepreneurial mindset is a very popular word and a very popular term used across many different sectors, many different groups here. And we want to know what is it? You know, how do we define it? And do you acquire an entrepreneurial mindset? Is it something that you can learn? Or is it a combination of many different things? So even though I am a professor, but I also understand that sometimes less theory, more practice is needed, especially when we're running businesses and growing businesses here and dealing with challenges here. So what I did is I put some slides together, PowerPoint slides, very simple, but to get us to the point and to kind of make you think a little bit and reflect. And then I hope with our panel, with our great panel discussion here, is that you can see some practical applications of it. And we have two great panelists here with a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of insights here. So let me share my slides real quick and then try to go through my presentation briefly here, and then we can go from there. So let me share my screen, and I hope you all can see it. And Evelyn, if you're nodding, that means you see it, and the thumbs up is even better. All right, so before we start, I want to again thank CNHED. I want to thank everybody that has joined us today for the session, and we are delighted, and also the sponsors that are behind the scenes supporting such a great initiative here. And we appreciate you and we acknowledge you for this. So let's talk about the entrepreneurial mindset. The two words themselves create a buzz and excitement, right? But before we even try to define it here, I have a quiz to give. I have a mind teaser, some questions to ask you here to make you all reflect, to kind of get you all excited and saying, wait a minute, and he's going to put us to the test here. So let me start. Let me start, and maybe I go to the next slide. I want to throw out two words, creativity and innovation, right? And we use them interchangeably all the time, right? You can say to someone, oh, this person was so creative, or she was so innovative, or this person is just brilliantly innovative. Oh, they're so creative. We keep using them back and forth, back and forth. Yet, my question to all of you here, what's the difference? What is the difference between creativity and innovation? Because if they are the same, then why do we use two different words, right? When is someone creative and when is someone innovative? And when is someone innovative and not creative, right? So they're like, okay, he's confusing me now. What is he saying? Is he saying they're two different things? Arguably, they are two different things. They're two different concepts here. But how do you define it, right? And if I ask you all to put it in the chat, how you define them all, you quickly see everybody has a different definition. Everybody sees it from a different perspective. And we'll get back to Evelyn and Chadwick a little bit on how they define it. But I like visuals. I'm a very visual person. I like to see things and kind of figure them out as I see them here. So let me start. Let me propose to you 4 different ways of thinking about creativity and innovation. Evelyn, are you ready? Chadwick, are you ready? Everybody else is ready? So let's start. Let me start with the first model. And we call it the overlap. That yes, there is something called innovation. There is something called creativity, but they're definitely different in definitions, but somehow in the middle, they overlap, right? They connect at some point, right? And this connection can mean many different things, but for the most part, they're kind of on 2 different spheres and somehow they connect. So that's model number 1. So let's go to model number 2. You can say, absolutely not. Creativity and innovation are separate concepts. We should respect both. They are different in definitions, in context, in how they are structured and how they function. So therefore, we should treat them separately. But yet, some people say, well, no, I disagree with this one, and I disagree with the overlap one. I think the third model is that all creative people are innovative. All creative people have to be innovative, but not vice versa. That means not all innovative people are creative. Or you can then figure out the fourth model. All innovative people are creative, but not vice versa. So all innovative people are creative, but not vice versa. Or all creative people are innovative, but not vice versa. Or you can decide they are separate concepts. Or at the end, somehow they overlap. So my question to all of you here, if you had to pick, and all the participants here, which one would it be? Pick one of them. If I force you to pick one of them, let's say we were having a nice dinner or a nice cup of coffee, and I say, well, which one is it? And I drew it in a napkin. Which one would you all pick? Write it down in the chat. I'm curious to see which one you would all pick. Right? So, and here we go. We got overlap. There's a model 1, innovative every time. Right? All of you, if you get a chance, right? Tell me what you all think here. And what you'll see is there's a lot of exciting different ways of looking at it here. You know, model 3, overlap and separate, right? And we can't agree. As you can see, we all can't agree. Even though Jung Ho, Evelyn, everybody can see it from a different perspective. So then, again, I told you I'm going to be a little bit instigating here, right? If we all kind of nod our head about that creativity and innovation is important, that we use it all the time to describe people, events, products, services. But yet, fundamentally, when we ask you to define it or to think about it, everybody comes from a different perspective. Everybody has a different way of looking at it, right? And that's where it gets exciting. This is where now we can start to say to ourselves, wait a minute, if we all can't agree, that allows us to create our own definition, to kind of define it in our own way. And with the panelists, you'll see a wonderful, wonderful examples of how they've taken these two ideas and put them together. And I'm excited about this. So my definition, my personal definition is, I think, just my thing, is that creativity and innovation is the foundation of what I call the entrepreneurial mindset, right? And what do I mean about that is the following, right? That every single one of us in this chat, the people you work with, your clients, your suppliers, and your staff, your employees, everybody has what I call a creative mind. They have great ideas. They have wonderful ideas, and sometimes they're just absolutely crazy, right? They're so crazy that they're just amazing because they're crazy, right? And that's where we get excited, is that we need more of these creative ideas, right? Everybody, in my opinion, is creative because they can have a crazy idea. What if, just the question is, what if we can do it this way? What if we try it this way? Allows us to be creative. Innovation, then, for me, is not just about being creative, right? It is about actually doing something successfully, introducing successfully a change in an existing system, right? You can be as creative as you want. You can come up with the best ideas ever, the most creative. But until you successfully introduce them, they're just creative. A successful introduction is what I call innovation. Which then takes me to this whole model, this idea of creative innovation. And I believe creative innovation is what we today consider an entrepreneurial mindset. So Steve was absolutely right. This entrepreneurial mindset carries across all sectors, for-profit, not-for-profit, NGOs. Everybody has the two elements of what I call the entrepreneurial mindset, because they are creative and they're capable of executing successfully. So how? The question is, that is great, that is fantastic, this is really exciting, that I can have an entrepreneurial mindset. But what is it? What drives this entrepreneurial mindset? What are the elements of it? And we can include so many of them, but I want to recognize ones that were produced by University of Arizona and the global campus, because they put forth 9 elements that I thought were right to the point, and I agreed with them. So I'm going to share them with you. They're going to give you some of what I call the elements of an entrepreneurial mindset. But trust me, what really is at the foundation, at the heart of an entrepreneurial mindset is creativity and innovation. Okay, so are you all ready to go through those nine elements? You're all excited to see them? Okay, so there are my personal favorites. I'm going to go through them quickly, give you my reactions to them, and then we'll get the panel in to talk about them. So let me start with the first one. They're all in no particular order. I just placed them in random order, but I also placed it based on the pictures I like. So here we go. Right? Focus. Right? Part of having an entrepreneurial mindset, even though you are creative and even though you are being innovative here, is that you have a tremendous amount of focus. No matter how many things are happening, you're always focused on things that need to be done, on refining your idea, right? On refining the opportunity that you are seeking. And focus makes you dedicated, right? So if you think about it, you can say, oh my God, this person is doing so many things. How can you do all of this? In reality, people with an entrepreneurial mindset have a high focus because they get things done, right? And they know to keep their eye on the ball. No matter what the distractions are, they know. So that's one of the elements, focus, right? The second one is independence, right? And I love this picture, and I love this whole word, independence, because you could see these entrepreneurial mindset people at so many events. Like today, we're at so many events. We're networking, we're talking, we're socializing, we're social butterflies as best as we are, but yet we are also independent, right? We can say to ourselves, I like my own company. I can work and I can be independent and I can get things done, right? And if you give it to me, I'll make it work. I'll achieve it, right? So now you say they're focused, but at the same time, even though they can work in many different elements, they can be team players, they can be anything you want them to be, they're also very independent, right? And that's important because it shows strength, right? The third factor here, and now you'll start seeing the connection here, is, and I mentioned a little bit, determination, right? The refusal to fear failure keeps entrepreneurs going. They are determined, no matter what the obstacles are, no matter how many times people say to them, no, you cannot do this. No, we won't select you. No, you didn't make the cut. No, I'm not going to meet with you. Yet they continue to be persistent. They have this high level of determination to make it happen, right? And they're focused on it, and they seek this independence. Why? Because they are determined to actually succeed. Drive, right? And another word for that I like to use here is this fire inside you that can never be quieted. You have this tremendous fire inside your heart, inside your mind, that gets you up every morning, even though you know it's going to be a bad week. You know things are not working out. You know you have so much stress. You know things are just not on your side. Yet you're going to go to work. You're gonna take all these failures, you're going to take all these people saying to you impossible, and you're saying, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing because I believe in myself, and I'll get it done. And it creates a habit in your work that you are always there. You're the constant, right? And then that's what gets these people with an entrepreneurial mindset moving. This is drive, this beat that continues moving on and on and on, right? Decisiveness. This is critical, right? When you are in charge, when you're making these decisions, when you are pulling the trigger on things that need to be done, and you know the risks involved, at the end of the day, it's your call. You listen to so many advice, you listen to your board of advisors, you listen to your friends, you listen to your family, you listen to everybody, right? And everybody's telling you, don't do it. It's the worst idea since whatever. And then you say to yourself, I made my decision. I'm going to stick to my decision because I believe in myself, right? And that falls onto you. You're extremely responsible. Why? Because you have to be, because you are making these decisions. This is a word that I love, authenticity, right? We know it when we see it, we feel it, right? We engage in it, and we always gravitate to people that are authentic. And the two panelists we have here are really authentic people. They're just amazing, right? And authenticity carries a sense of charm. It's magical because people gravitate towards people that are authentic because they want to work with them, because they want to engage with them. They want to enjoy working with them, right? And it's one of those wonderful things if you are privileged to work with someone that's very authentic, because you really get to have fun. Those 8 hours, 12 hours, or 14 hours a week that a day that you're working here, but when you work with someone that's authentic, right? You're not working, you're having fun, right? It can be as crazy as you can imagine it can be, but you are enjoying your work, right? So authenticity plays a major role. Flexibility. And I put these two images together because it sends two messages here, right? You can be creating, using clay, you be creating something. Work is like always creating something. With your hand, with your mind, with your eyes, you're always creating something. Yet, at the same time, as you are flexible in shaping this business, at the same time, you still need structure, right? You still need this ability to control everything that you're doing here, right? And it doesn't stop. You can't let go, because if you let go, things fall apart. So you always have to have some sort of control on it, and dedication, right? People always say to me, "Oh, I'm in this business because I want to be flexible, and I want to work my hours." And I smile at them. I saying, being flexible doesn't mean you do whatever you want. Being flexible is you have to understand that there's winds coming from all over the place, and you have to understand how to manage all of them. This 9 to 5 option really doesn't exist for entrepreneurs. They're always thinking 24/7, right? Their mind is always moving. It's always shifting, right? And I like this. I love this concept of flexibility. It shows tolerance. It shows kindness. It shows empathy as well. Then this one is the thirst for knowledge. And every single one of you here that have come, that has taken time today on a Monday, on a busy Monday in the beginning of October, when things are moving 200 miles an hour, to come here for an hour to spend with us, it shows that you have a thirst for knowledge. It shows a commitment and a way of saying to yourself, I'm here wanting to learn something, right? Maybe one thing is enough, and it was worth the hour I'm going to spend today. So this thirst for knowledge is critical. It shows that you are hungry to learn, to grow, to be better. To be better from a skill perspective, to be better from a thinking perspective, but more importantly, to be better as a human being. So a thirst for knowledge is very critical, right? I started with this concept of creativity and innovation. I bring you back to this concept of creativity again. It's the ability to think outside the box, to see things where people don't see it anymore, to look at things with saying, oh, this is just an absolute mess of colors, and say to this and say, this is art. This is something that I can put together and create something beautiful from it. The entrepreneurial mindset, at the end of the day, comes down to you, the person, to you that wants to engage in a better future and a better world. And saying this, it allows us for a wonderful, wonderful way of exploring what we are capable of. Now, are we good at everything that I mentioned? Absolutely not. That's a definition of being human, right? We have our limitations, we have our strengths. But if we understand them, if we can accept them, then we can only get better. And we can also enjoy the process of getting better. CNHED put this DC Community Week together with the purpose of bringing everyone together. Everyone together means having everyone an entrepreneurial mindset, working together to make DC a better place, to make the companies in it better, to make the people working in it better, to give our customers a better experience here, but also to celebrate. So for me, DC Community Week is a celebration of the best of humanity and everybody coming together. So saying this, right, I shared with you the 9 elements and innovation and creativity here. So let's bring in the panelists and let them share their experiences. I'll ask them some questions. And at the same time, while I'm asking them some questions here, I encourage all of you to put in the chat section some of your questions that you have, okay? Because that's why they're here. They're here to answer as many questions as possible here. So I'm gonna stop sharing here. First of all, let me welcome Evelyn. Evelyn, how's your Monday?
Monday's great. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for the invitation. And I think this is a really important topic in general, just because it really affects every aspect of our lives.
Wonderful. Evelyn, so I want to give you a couple of minutes here to introduce yourself. Tell people about you, who you are, your company, right? And tell us your own definition of an entrepreneurial mindset while everybody's getting ready with their questions.
Okay, sure. So my name is Evelyn Rodriguez, and I am the owner of a marketing communications firm called the Aquiline Group, and we're located in DC. And I'm also the owner of a venture that I started with another company called Tag Research, where we are going to provide management consulting services to the federal government. So when I think about an entrepreneurial mindset, for me, because I've been on this journey since 2002, I can tell you that it really is about personal transformation. And I was really able to understand that with the Elevate program, completing the Elevate program this past year, because I think that throughout our journey as entrepreneurs, we're constantly evolving, and as the economic opportunities evolve and the environments evolve, we also evolve with this. So I think that an entrepreneurial mindset is really all about evolution. It's really all about us really connecting to our purpose as people. And we see that, our purpose maybe 20 years ago is a little different. So I think that this purpose, connecting to this purpose in every stage of our lives, is really what connecting to that as an entrepreneur is really significant, because things change, economic environments change, opportunities change. So I think that really connecting to our purpose and how we are going to solve a problem in our community, or whether it's in our country or an international approach, and is really important. And also the people that we bring in to help us, because I think that the entrepreneurial journey is very solitary when we started, but as we expand our businesses, we can't really change the world on our own. So that's something that I wanted to share with you, because I know that as entrepreneurs, we tend to think always about us, and I'm going to do this, but really without other people, you're not going to be able to get far ahead. So those are my initial thoughts about the entire.
Wonderful. Great, Evelyn. Thank you so much. And then let's introduce the other panelists. Chadwick, good afternoon. I hope you had a great weekend. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Chadwick?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you, Professor Tarabishi and CNHED team for this opportunity. I am very grateful to share my journey with you all. I think basically, I like the part when we went back to the creative and innovative concept. Actually, I am a creative person. I know I have been a creative person since birth, but I'm also an innovative person also. So I had chose the overlapping concept because I am creative, but I am also, I can come up with an idea, but also I have the creativity to actually execute it. And the entrepreneurial mindset is broad-based, but specifically dealing with me, it's always been a thirst for knowledge. I remember when I started the company 6 years ago, I had my concept and I know I was going to provide event plannings and focus on storytelling because as somebody from Trinidad and Tobago, there wasn't many messaging about culture and stuff like that around events that I went to and stuff like that. So I said, this is a great idea to introduce into the government and corporate space too, so that government agencies can be more transparent in letting people know what they do, and also corporations too, can be in that space. So it has always been a thirst for knowledge for me. And I was just, once I opened up myself, I was very grateful and honored to be start of my journey with being selected as one of the participants in the Talk School of Business, building a high performance minority business workshop. And that opened up my mind so much because there were so much areas I didn't know about even running a business. And from then, since then, I've done approximately like 8 workshops, or including certificate program. And I think coming down to the Elevate program really, so I mentioned creativity, and I said I've always had a thirst for knowledge. But I think the Elevate program really gave me really brought out the determination in me and the drive to succeed. And so I've always said to my peers and everything that I believe in building relationship. It's very important as an entrepreneur, because as you move along, it's very important to build a relationship, but it's also important that we take the opportunities that have been given to us, such as this platform, such as this platform offered here. So that's basically my taking on my entrepreneurial mindset.
This is wonderful, absolutely wonderful introduction by both of you. Great, just absolutely great. Let me start with Cyril asked a very good question here. So I'm going to go back, right, and ask Evelyn to answer this question first, and then I'm going to get to Yvette's question here. So, Evelyn, right? The question is, what convinced you to take this leap into entrepreneurship? Cyril, great question, Cyril. But what made you jump?
I struggled with it, but what made me jump was that the concept of stability, I think the concept of security, which is what jobs traditionally people are really attracted to when you go work for someone, is that it's stable. You have this income. So for me, what made me leave was like really convincing myself that there's no such thing as security. And, I had this really tough conversation with my father because he thought I was crazy when I wanted to quit my really nice high paying job to start this idea was a hobby. And I kept telling him, there's no such thing as security. So for me, really working on that concept of security, like what a job gives you, and kind of working through that was what made me decide to just leap, because there is no such thing as security. I mean, it's an illusion. And I know that a lot of people don't want to believe this, but so there is no such thing as security. So for me, working through that idea and me understanding that I wasn't going to have that it was a leap of faith almost, was what really made me just say, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to find a net, and I did. So I'm very happy that I did do that.
No, Evelyn, wonderful answers. I love the word illusion here. So I'm just going to say that you're on fire today. Okay, you're excellent answers. You're just on fire. So Chadwick, what about you, Chadwick? Back to you.
With me, actually, to be honest, it's because I think it's all in my journey and purpose, because I realized, I recognized from a child exactly what my purpose would be in life. It's just, I just had to go through a couple of, like, many steps to have it executed. But I have to honestly say, I always knew that I'd be sitting in this chair at this very moment. I don't know how it would have panned out, but I know it was in the cards. And I think bottom line to independence, because I don't like cookie cutter, and I don't like to just sit in an office. I've worked as a travel manager through HHS as a contractor for many years, and my office had no windows at all. And it was just like regimented each day and stuff like that. And I was like, how can you express yourself? How can I bring out those qualities that I have seen in my visions as a child and stuff like that? So to me, I think it was purpose driven, but I just had to execute it.
Amazing, amazing. So a couple of things that I heard you all say here. First of all, is Evelyn challenged the concept of what is security, right? And she's like, let's just be careful with this whole concept, right? And I think Chadwick, you're raising the issue of what is my purpose, right? It's a very powerful statement here. So now you hear it. Nobody has a straight answer to this. It comes from within you here. Now, I play the professor. I'm also the that does research here. So if you really want to know some research items here, usually when you make this jump, and research has shown this, there's a couple of things, right? Aside from these two things, which are critically open and critically important here, usually when somebody switches from a part-time or hobby business or something in their home or in their office down in the whatever basement, whatever it is here, they're very strategic about their decision to move into business or to get into business. A couple of things is, first of all, can I sustain this business to actually turn it into a revenue that will replace my salary? That's a logical question. Can I continue doing this business and pay the mortgage, pay for food on the table, right? So that question usually evolves. And usually that question is answered very simply. Research has shown that if you make close to 70% of what you're making now as a salary from your part-time business, which is what you really want to do, right? Then you're more inclined to actually make the jump, right? When you start to realize, listen, I'm making 70% of what I'm making my salary, and I'm working 2 jobs here to make it. Why not I commit 100% to what I really want to love to do? That's number one. The second thing here, even if you don't make the 70%, which is saying, well, that's not there yet, but you have 2 to 3 clients that you know for sure they're going to sustain you and continue growing with you, then you say, I'm going to suffer a little bit, but I know that if I commit to them and I work with them exclusively, I will get to this 70%, right? So there's a science behind it. It's not always just touchy-feely things. At the end of the day, you'll have to sit and do the math. So saying this. So let me take another question here. And this is a great question to ask. So I'm going to start with you, Chadwick, because you mentioned the word purpose here. So I'm going to give you this question here. And Yvette is asking all the hard questions here. So then you can just have a conversation and say, why are you asking these hard questions? But here we go. How can a business owner practice or embody, and I love the word embody, an entrepreneurial mindset when they're pulled in different directions? So, talk about flexibility, focus, and all that stuff. And in the morning, you get 6 emails, and they're all not nice emails. They're all bad emails. How do you continue to embody this whole entrepreneurial mindset?
With me, personally, I just have to say, I'm going back to purpose. It's a sense of purpose. And with me, it's more spiritually moved, and in that, when you just have that gut feeling that this is what I need to do and stuff like that. And then no matter how much you tell your friends or stuff like that, and no matter how much they say, oh, you can't do that and stuff like that. It's just that drive to, well, back then my mindset was like, I'll prove you wrong. But now I think differently. I was like, this is my purpose. This is what I need to do. And with that, with that drive, you don't even look at failure in that sense, because to me, it's a more learning ability. And I do have to say it's done great for me also, because learning it's very fundamental and stuff like that. And besides, and also too, there's a lot of resources out there. So me personally is that I kind of deviated from being hard on myself, because I always say that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and that has been my thing. So so that has been my take on that, actually.
I love what you mentioned. You mentioned the word drive, and you also kind of mentioned focus here and purpose, which is really critical. Evelyn, what about you, Evelyn?
So how do I get things done and keep my entrepreneurial mindset? That for me goes more with planning. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you have to meet your clients' needs, and especially if you're in a service business like me. So taking care of your clients always takes like precedent in the way that I approach my work. But at the same time, I also have this like the second tier of goals and things that I'm working on that we also push on a daily basis. So, whether it's like coming up with a new idea to deliver a product better, or partnering with another company, or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve to grow your company, to scale it. I feel like I have to have both, so at the same time you're meeting needs, and then you always have to have this add-on of the expansion, paying people that serve you or that work with you. So I think both things are equal, which is why sometimes entrepreneurs are so tired because you're constantly thinking about, the competition. There's always somebody new that pops up that does something even better than you. And so how do you maintain your strength in let's say in an area of practice that you like dominate? So you're constantly thinking. And I think that entrepreneurs for just the personality, I think we always have this extra thing that we're working on that is always being worked on, like 24 hours, like you say, 24/7.
That's excellent. Wonderful. I'm going to ask a difficult question now, and I'm going to get into something difficult here. But I think a lot of people want to hear this because I think they're always challenged with it. Right. One of the factors I mentioned, one of the elements I mentioned was decisiveness, being decisive. Right. And Evelyn, being decisive goes both ways. Being decisive is having, making some difficult decisions in terms of business, kind of. You're working with a client, and even though the client is generating a lot of revenue for you, but it's not a healthy relationship. It's affecting you, it's affecting your business, and you have to make a decision on this. You can't keep punting the ball down, right? Or with a staff member that was with you from the beginning, but they're not up to the caliber of what you need now to go with a new direction. At the end of the day, as I said, with an entrepreneurial mindset, it's your call at the end. You have to live with it, you have to go to sleep with it, and you have to deal with the repercussions of it, right? So let's have this frank conversation about being decisive, right? What does it entail in your mind, but also in your soul? Because being decisive, sometimes it's just one of the most painful things you have to do. So let's go with that.
So that's, this is like, I love it because you always go deep. The decisiveness for me this past year, because I merged with another company. I formed another company with a prime, a much bigger, much more established company than mine. And it was really difficult. And one of the things that I learned that was like a golden nugget for me was that sometimes you don't have to decide. Sometimes a good decision is not making a decision. And that's what happened to me. Because I was at a point where we weren't really connecting, and I have really good advisors, thank God. And one of my advisors was like, you know what? How about you do nothing? So I sent an email. I said, I think I need to take a month off to catch up on work. I kind of brought it to me just because I'm really behind. So let's just take a month off, because we were meeting like twice a week, trying to move this partnership further. And in that month, I can tell you that all these incredible things happened with the relationship. The relationship actually got better. We had an opportunity to pursue a large contract together that was really their connection, but they gave it to us. So we won finally our largest contract in the federal space. So So I want to say that sometimes, decision making, and sometimes we make mistakes, and that's the other thing about decision making. Sometimes we do things that we regret, and it's kind of part of the process. We hopefully try to rectify them. I know I do that a lot, and I'm getting better at making less mistakes. But then sometimes we make good decisions. But the thing is that at the end of the day, after we make a decision, whether it was positive or negative, I think we need to look at it and think about what was the outcome of the decision? Was it what we wanted? Did it go in the wrong direction? And if we didn't go in the right direction, also to learn from that experience so that you don't make the mistake again. So I think that, the issue of decisiveness, I think that, at a certain level in your business, and depending on where you are, sometimes it's better to be less decisive than it is to be hard and make a stand like that.
Excellent. Well said. Sometimes being decisive is not being decisive. So I agree with you. Chadwick, what about you, Chadwick?
Well, I'm going to be short with this because I actually walk every day in my authentic self. And I have to thank Professor Tarabichis for bringing that out in me too, because I was a little nice before, and I remember the Elevate program, he was like, you're not in this business to be nice with people, in that sense. I mean, respect is a different aspect, but, so it brings me back to, so I have a little thing that I normally say, you are what you eat. So I am walking in my authentic self, and I believe that, that because I exude that, I'm attracting like-minded people to be in my presence, being on my team in that sense. So with me, it's all about, I know what I'm looking for. I know who is driven, because once we're in that space, it actually, I can actually feel what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And at the end of the day, I'm running a company. So I don't just want somebody to be here just to get a salary or stuff like that. I need us to bounce ideas off of each other and stuff like that, because that is how the big module of my company, partnering in that sense. So I will say, being in my authentic self and attracting like-minded people.
So Chadwick, saying this, and which is really wonderful here. I presented 9 elements that were proposed here, but I'm curious, just looking at these 9 elements here, right? And everybody's different, and everybody will say, I really gravitate towards this or that. If you had to pick one, just because I asked the question, there's no reason or rhyme to it. Just because I asked the question here, which one today, at this moment of time, based on this conversation, saying I really feel more aligned to this one than the other, and then it can change in the next minute. You can say, well, I'm more this one now. So which one was it? Is it creativity, thirst for knowledge, flexibility, authenticity, independence, decisiveness, drive, focus, or determination? Which one you say, I feel this now, I'm channeling this element right now?
Hands down, the number one is focus.
Okay.
For me. Simply because, like I said, I know it that I was not focused. After Elevate, and the program was just amazing. I am so focused right now. So I would say focus is number one for me.
Okay. Evelyn, what about you?
For me right now, I would say decisiveness. Decisiveness in the sense that as entrepreneurs, we always just have to show up. I mean, and I think that showing up is just the most important thing that you can do as a business owner. Show up to the meeting, show up to the call, show up to those situations that maybe you don't even want to sometimes, but just showing up and bringing kind of your light to whatever situation has been really impactful for me. And for now, I think that's what I'm embodying at this stage of the business growth of mine, is just showing up and working on building my social capital. I saw a question that I think Yvette had about, do we work with our other organizations? And I would say that as an entrepreneur, really meeting people from all across the board is phenomenal, because from every person you learn something that can help your business go to the next level. And maybe it's like, bringing in the right relationship, maybe is how you show up to a meeting or how you show up to a particular group that you're trying to make a stronger, deeper connection. And for me this year also, that has been critical, because I have I'm learning now how to finally reach out to like other groups that may not have been as attractive to me in the past. But you know, there's a lot of gold, a lot of golden nuggets and diamonds that you can pull from these relationships. I know that this year I've gotten closer with the office, the small business office in DC, and it's been like really wonderful to work with them because I'm finally seeing what they've been trying to show me for all these years that and maybe I wasn't ready for it before, but it's just really an important, you know, for me, it was an important like, aha, you know, this is what these guys were trying to tell me all this for all these years. And it finally took me to understand it because I finally showed up. I finally had the conversations with the people that have been trying to get me to talk to them for so long. And so I'm really happy about that, you know, really understanding this concept of showing up and going to these service providers that so much really do want to help you and changing like your framework.
That is great. And Chadwick, I'm going to ask you this because we have about 5 minutes left here, but this is DC Community Week, right? So I'm channeling back, we go back to what we started here, which is the inaugural DC Community Week. Tell us a little bit about what you want to see about DC Community Week as we continue to evolve this program. A couple of things and how you can help as well. Why don't we leave it with that? And everybody in the chat, right? Let's put some ideas here, creative ideas here, and let's see if we can innovate in here. What is DC Community Week for you? And how can we make it better and bigger if you want, or even just better?
Well, I mean, what's near and dear to my heart has always been collaborating. And you recognize that some business are different, some business are at different stages. And I can see some questions also that some people's like, oh, management is my problem, this is my problem. But what I do believe is that symbiotically, we're all here for a purpose in that sense. And Evelyn mentioned before, and relationship building is very important to me, very, very important. So I would like to see more workshops, more for the week, you know, where we can get into meeting rooms with like-minded businesses and stuff like that and share. You know, share our journey, share our thoughts on stuff like that. Ask those burning questions that as a business person, sometimes we don't want to put it out there. Let's put ourselves out there because I believe this is a safe space. It is a safe space. So I would like to see more business to business, B2C and stuff like that, you know, breakout rooms in that sense so that we can be more open and honest with each other and helpful also.
Good. Chadwick, wonderful job. If you can also drop your website address in the chat section so people can reach out to you, that would be amazing. Evelyn, what about you? The same question as well. What you would like to see more?
I mean, I know that we are always putting these things out there. I guess, and I think that maybe I would like to see, I mean, I think Chadwick answered that question well, but maybe I think we need to have maybe a repository of information. Maybe we put a guide together for different things so that, you know, if you're having insurance challenges, if you're having like enterprise building, I saw someone said that like these are the best providers or these are like our resources. So maybe some type of guide so that maybe we're not like directly communicating with each other, but we have a repository of knowledge. And that way, you know, everyone has access to it.
Great contributions from both of you here, and Evelyn and Chadwick. It's a real honor to have you guys here. You really have raised our knowledge on what you all are doing, and your authenticity and willingness to share is greatly appreciated. And we have 2 minutes left, and I know Steve went through the program very fast, but I think while we have a captive audience here, I hand it over to my colleagues, Reina and Haley, to tell us a little bit about the week as we continue on, and then we end the session. So with that, I thank you both. It's been an honor to engage with you all here.
Thank you.
And Reina, Haley, I give back the floor to you.
Thank you, Amen. We just appreciate everyone joining us for the kickoff of Community Development Week. And we ask that you visit our website, www.cnhed.org, to get the whole lineup of the week. And tomorrow, I believe we have a meeting with the institutional for procurement. So we hope everyone comes out and join us for that. And again, we appreciate the response and the support. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you. I'm in for a informational session here, Entrepreneurial Mindset.
Thank you so much. It was so much fun. Thank you for all of your hard work, because I know you guys do a lot of great programming. So thank you.
It's amazing.
Thank you, Chad and Evelyn as well.
Always.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.